So let's start with story number 10, reported by Fox 59 Indianapolis. So a lot of people may not know that Chris Van Vliet is an avid fisherman, and you have your own fishing accessories e-commerce store called Woo Tungsten. Is the Woo based on Ric Flair?
Well, we like to pronounce it Woo Tungsten. It's twofold, right? One, it's a nod to like Ric Flair and wrestling. But more importantly, when you catch a giant fish, woo, you're just so jacked up. So that's
right.
That's really what it means. So it's WOO exclamation mark always.
And tell me about your love of fishing. Like, where did this come from?
4 years old, caught my first rock bass in Sturgeon Lake. You'll know the Kawartha Lakes region very well. So just outside of Fenelon Falls, we had neighbors who had a cottage there, and all their kids were just a little bit older than me. So I didn't have like kids to play with. So they just put me out on the dock with a life jacket and a little fishing rod and a bobber and a worm. I caught my first fish, and pun intended, I was hooked. And like this became a huge part of my life, like from that moment on, where I started fishing in bass tournaments when I was 14. And like this has just been a really big part of my life. So 6 years ago, my tournament fishing partner, Aaron, and I started this bass fishing brand called Woo Tungsten, where we sell tungsten fishing weights. And it's been awesome being able to combine my passion for that with my passion for business and like put them together.
Fascinating. Well, you are the perfect guy for this story. So there's two men in Shelbyville, Indiana, and they were searching for catfish in the Ohio River. And one of the guys, his name is John Hoop, he reeled in a 20-pound blue catfish. Joel, do you have the picture? There is the picture of the blue catfish. Look at that. Yeah. Now, after they netted it, they realized that its stomach was huge, bigger than normal. And they figured, okay, maybe it's got some eggs in there. Maybe it like swallowed like a little animal or something like that. When they pressed on its stomach, though, it felt like there was something hard in there. It didn't feel like it was eggs. So they ended up opening up the fish to see what was going on. Chris Van Vliet, what was inside the fish?
I am going to guess with my fishing knowledge that it swallowed a turtle whole.
That's a very good guess. It was actually a dildo. Joel, do you got
the
picture? There it is right there.
Wow.
There was a foam ball in there too.
That has all the apparatus there. Jeez.
So it swallowed a foam ball too, along with a fully intact dildo.
No way.
When they opened it up, one of their 3-year-old daughters was there. She demanded to know what it was. And so they had to get creative with their answer. At least, all right, last word I should say, they kept the dildo. They're trying to figure out what to do with it. They claim they're going to discard it. Yeah, sure they are. At least they got a good story out of it. So I have to ask you, being an avid fisherman, have you ever caught a fish and found something very interesting or unique inside of it?
Certainly, I never found a dildo inside of a fish. I also have to say, like, I haven't kept a fish in years, like decades, probably.
You throw them back?
Yeah, I catch them, take a photo, and throw them back. But growing up, like when I was, 10, 12, and then in my teenage years, we would keep the odd walleye or perch. Certainly would never find any sort of sex toys inside of them. I think you'd find crayfish were pretty common. You'd find like other smaller fish, but that's an interesting find. Wow.
I mean, you mentioned a whole turtle. Have you seen that? Have you witnessed that?
I've never witnessed it myself, but I've seen, a lot of photos on Instagram where someone catches a bass and it has like a very like perfectly round thing in their stomach.
Okay.
And it's a turtle in there.
Interesting. All right. Well, there you go. See, I'm glad. Wow. I'm glad
I never would have guessed that.
Well, you are the experienced fisherman and I'm not. So I'm glad that I'm able to show you something.
Maybe we need to start having lures that are shaped like dildos and we'd probably catch more fish.
I think we need to move on to story number 9.
Yeah, what was this guy using as bait? Jeez.
Story number 9. This was posted on Facebook. You remember in the movie Old School, the college kids get on Will Ferrell because they're at a college party and they're asking, so what are your weekend plans? And he's like, I got a good little Saturday. We're going to take a trip to Home Depot. You remember that scene?
Yeah, and maybe Bed Bath & Beyond.
And maybe Bed Bath & Beyond. Exactly.
You don't want to get too crazy, though.
So there's a woman named Caroline Akhtar. She was at a home improvement store in the UK called B&Q, along with her partner and their 3 kids. They were there to buy a washing machine. And at one point, the parents turned their backs, after which their 4-year-old son named Jacob made an interesting decision. Chris Van Vliet, what did Jacob do?
Boy, I would have to guess he climbs inside and they can't get him out.
You're pretty close. He took a dump in one of the display toilets.
Oh my
God. Do we got a picture? There he is, sitting there. Right there. And that's his sister playing on the one right next to him while he's doing it. He did what
that's good potty training is what that is. I applaud the parents. That is great potty training.
He's pretty disciplined.
The kid doesn't know if it's in a bathroom or not. The kid just sees a toilet and needs to go.
Exactly. He needed to go. Yeah. His mom described it as a very big poo. They ran over to him to try to get him off, but it was too late. Business had been done. They had to run to the car to get wet wipes to clean him up. His dad was given the job of removing the contents from the toilet. I don't know if Joel took a picture of that one. There he is right there.
No.
Yep. Fortunately, the staff at the store, they were cool about it. And so, Chris, I got to ask you, I know that you work sometimes on the road and maybe you're away at a media junket or something like that. Have you ever had a public bathroom emergency?
We've all had a public bathroom emergency. And I think the one that comes to mind the most was I was at a concert when I was still living in Cleveland. And I just, something wasn't sitting right. And I had the old bubble guts and I had to go. And I get into the bathroom and I realize it's one of those very shady venues where they don't put doors on the stalls.
Okay. Yes.
And I had to make a game time decision. Was I going to go as quickly as I possibly could, either out the door or go as quickly as I possibly could in there and try to get it out and wiped it as quickly as I could? And that was the decision. I went with the latter decision.
You went with the latter decision.
And I was just hoping and praying that no one would see it. And nobody did. Like, this was by far the quickest poop I've ever taken in my life.
You were pushing.
I was in and out of that stall in like 14 seconds, I feel like.
You can take any topic and become a storyteller the way that you describe it. That's a good skill to have.
I'd rather other people tell the stories, though.
Roses are red, violets are blue. I click the subscribe button. You really should too. If you like videos about real news stories that are funny, stupid, or weird, subscribe now.